Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. I think you'll like this little short thing here. And after I play this, I'm also going to read a scripture and I'm going to show you something that might interest you. I remember particularly I had one subscriber who believed what I'm saying about this scripture. I hope you watch it. This in particular, I don't know if this is what we agreed on, but I think it's Joel 2, Joel 2, maybe Joel 1, but I'm going to show you a video right after I read it. I hope you guys are doing well today. Tomorrow is the Sabbath day. I haven't been doing that well. My kidneys, I've been developing a new website. I don't know if you guys have ever made a website before, but my first one was Shopify. This time it's Wix for a different type of reason. And I tell you, trying to develop it, have you ever tried to stay still at a computer, do a little bit of coding, but just all the intricacies of it, so stressing. You have to call here and there because things aren't going right, so you have to talk to people. Holy. Of my own doing, that's why I don't feel well. But when I get stressed like that, I don't know, it's like a predisposing stone already. That's just so much stress, it starts to move. Or I have acalculous stones, but anyways, that's the kind of stuff I'm going through. I deal with a lot of abdominal pain. I'm used to it, but listen to this. I don't know if you've already seen this, but I thought you guys would be interested in this, considering the agenda that's being fed to us. You know, the analogy of the boiling water. You're probably hearing that a lot in the last few years, right? The analogy of the frog, if you put a frog, try to put it in hot water, he'll jump out. But if you do it slowly, right? If you raise the temperature slowly, he'll stay in there and he won't notice and he'll die. He'll explode. I think that's what happens. In the same way, that's what they've done to us. It's called desensitization. They say it so much and drill it so much, guys. This is a Marxist agenda, communism. Do you know right now there's a nuclear submarine and hypersonic missile ships in Cuba, 90 miles from North America? And it's either the analyst. Oh man, guys, I'm breathless because of this kidneys. Either the the US's military strategist, expert, advisor, military advisor says, not to be worried. They've told us not to be worried about just about everything. We know the real story. So they're there. So we're way past where the Cuban Missile Crisis was. You guys know it. Before I play this will interest you. I saw a video, okay? And you might have seen similar videos as well. Many people believe the tribulation. We're about halfway through. Many people don't think the first seal has even been done. The virus and everything they did, everything changed after that point. You know it. Non-stop political, non-stop deception. That stuff wasn't here before then. Do you understand that? It wasn't here before then. So that was the white horse. It's leading into things like famine and all that type of stuff. I can tell you that I do believe it. And people say, well, there's no war and there's no this. Tell that to people in Ukraine. Tell that to 500,000 dead Ukrainians and about 150,000 Russians. Tell that to the whole Middle East that's about to explode. And don't kid yourself, this is the whole Middle East. They're fighting Hezbollah heavily, and it's probably going to go any day full tilt. They're fighting Hamas. They've got Iran. They got a whole bunch of stuff. Who knows what happens with Taiwan? They're constantly surrounded. North Korea is doing funny stuff. They're a nuclear submarine and missile ships. If it wasn't the Biden administration, this would never happen. To have the enemy that close. Excuse me. I didn't consider Russia the enemy, by the way. I believe it was the United States. It's the United States' fault what they did in 2014. I think Madeleine Albright, who set that all up to make it a pro-Western government, and they kicked out Yanukovych. I know what happened. It's a travesty, man, but I believe this is set up on purpose. Military-industrial complex. So my point is this. Just because you're not mourned doesn't mean other people aren't suffering. India, churches burning to the ground. Christians hiding. Same with China. Same in all other places. There's never been worse persecution than now for Christians. Go look it up. It's more than Muslims. Who are you to say we're not in the tribulation because you, like me, are sitting in a North American home? It's coming. I don't know how it's going to be here, but it's coming. You know it is. But don't be scared, and that's not what I'm trying to do. If you have faith in Jesus Christ, put it this way. I don't think anyone would argue. We're into something. Our world completely shifted. So did our weather. People are different. Governments trying to take control. They're dictators. Like, look at Justin Trudeau, Macron. Look at Biden, Brazil. This WF thing. And by the way, I was correct. I predicted at least a couple years ago that the EU would come together and go right. And you can see it happening. It's a repeat of history. Whether they turn evil, I have no idea. You never know what can happen. There was a reason why Hitler was born, okay? People just come out of great... When an agenda is pushed on you, say like LGBTQ really hard, they do certain things like have trans people reading to kids. People come out of the woodwork, not good people. They may seem good intentioned at the beginning. Like Hitler, remember he was in Life magazine. He was a hero of the people, and I understand why he was. He was because he brought them out of that. But what he did and the things he believed in were insane. It's just like Trump. I'm not saying Trump's Hitler. I'm not saying Trump's bad at all. What I'm saying is America needed what Victor David Hanson would call a gunslinger at the right time, just after Obama, and he won. And America prospered. The world prospered. It was just the media and all that stuff that was doing all this stuff. Let's look at this, and then after this video, when I can catch my breath, I'm going to read Joel, and then I'm going to show you a video with it. It's, you'll like it. You may not like it, but you'll understand.
The American College of Pediatricians just put out a fire statement calling out all the major medical associations by name for pushing the gender transition craze on kids. They ask for these groups to immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and
took
surgeries
so long
for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. Watch this video. Go ahead, Rob.
And we have serious concerns about the physical and mental health effects of the current protocols promoted for the care of children and adolescents in the United States who express discomfort with their biological sex. This declaration was authored by the American College of Pediatricians, but really it was developed from the expertise of hundreds of doctors, researchers, and other healthcare workers and leaders who, for years, have been sounding the alarm on the harmful protocols that continue to be promoted by the medical organizations in the United States. Despite recent revelations from the leaked WPATH files and the recent release of the final report from the CAS review, these medical organizations have not changed course. So we are calling on these medical organizations of the United States, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to follow the science and their European colleagues.
So the European colleagues, what happened in Europe? They totally pushed this away. And they're pushing the WF agenda away too. I saw a video, okay? I don't know how to find it again. What is Vanderbilt Hospital? That's what it was. I think it was in Boston or something like that. There was a woman speaking like a lobbyist or something like that in a room full of physicians saying, bragging, okay, in a bragging way, not a bragging, but like a wow, look what we can make for breast, for giving breasts, for removing breasts, for doing your butt, for removing your genitals, for putting in genitals. She was giving a quote for them, like, look how much money we can make in just a day from doing this. It's sick, man. What took them so long is my question.
And immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex.
It's about money, too.
In our declaration, we affirm that sex is a dimorphic, innate trait defined in relation to an organism's biological role in reproduction, male and female. This genetic signature is present in every nucleated somatic cell in the body and is not altered by drugs or surgical interventions. Consideration of these innate differences is critical to the practice of good medicine and to the development of sound policy for children and adults alike. Medical decision-making should be based upon an individual's biological sex. It should respect biological reality and the dignity of the person by compassionately addressing the whole person. We are here defying the claims made by these medical organizations in the US that those of us who are concerned are a minority and that their protocols are consensus. They are not consensus, and we are speaking in a loud, unified voice, enough.
So here's a question I got for you folks if you're watching this.
Wow, eh? Isn't that just what's happening? It's a minority. It's a minority that's pushing this whole thing. And the worst thing about it, I guess, is it's not just a minority. Listen, it's an agenda too, okay? Why aren't we stronger than them? We are, but we're just not doing anything. Certainly there's a lot of people who have spoken up. I've seen them, parents in schools and all that type of stuff and protests, but people get as far as jailed. I'm not kidding you, going to prison for saying certain things. I wonder what pushed them to do this. Excuse me. I wonder what pushed them to do this. Yeah, and the point I was going to make is that it's the very rich. It's the rich people of this world. It's the elites who are doing this because they own the media. You own the media, you can lie, you can sway the world, right? Young, impressionable minds.
Why do you think 55 million people were interested in this just last week? Why? Why is this the most viral tweet? I think it's the most viral tweet in the last week. Why is that? What makes, I mean, she wasn't sensational.
Nope.
She actually, the way she talks where she could be the cure for insomnia. It wasn't like it was a motivational speech where she fired you up. She didn't tell you a joke. She wasn't like, and we're going to do this. And she didn't do anything like that or fire or call people out or destroy or disrespect or say any of that stuff that gets things to go viral. She's just reading something to you. But 55 million people said enough is enough.
Right.
And that's because the other 270 million, 280 million people in America haven't seen it. But there's a reason why a message like this goes viral. Tom, thoughts?
I have the shortest comment.
And the question is, did that make the news? The question is, what does make the news? That should give you all the answer you need to know.
What I'm going to make today. What did you say at the beginning of this podcast? Common sense always makes the comeback and wins in the fourth quarter. And I think they've got science on their side, wrapped around a common sense argument in that science, and almost 60 million people are watching this and saying, yeah, you know what? I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's how about this? It's about time, and thank God she's saying this because it's consistently it's an attack on the children. The same with that pride stuff that we're talking about over sexualizing kids and dancing in front of their faces. We're talking about mutilating children because they've been brainwashed to think that they can be whatever gender that they want, and it goes back to Big Pharma making all the money and helping with the depopulation because those people are never going to have kids. It's an agenda, and I'm so happy for stuff like this. This makes me happy, Pat, that
You hear that? Depopulation. This is their agenda. I just really came to that conclusion the other day, although I've heard it many times. They admit it. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go to something else. My stomach is literally like, it feels like it's like it's being closed. Squeezed.
54, and this is besides how many people that they talked about this. You know, it's probably 100 million people are now talking, and that's being shared everywhere because it like you're right. Enough is enough. Why did it have to take this long? They're kids, 8-year-olds. But remember that the girl that was on the I think it was on Dr. Phil, and Dr. Phil's like, you think an 8-year-old can make a decision on what? And the transgender guy goes, absolutely. If they want to chop off their genitalia, it's their body. They know what to do. This makes me.
I know I complain a lot about my physical symptoms because I deal with a lot of different symptoms. And of course, this all came on from the stress of building that site, but I've never said this before. When you see me uncomfortable, I have 4 different disorders in my stomach. Three. But there's 4. One isn't a process. It's just my scar and adhesions. They burn and twist. When that Moderna caused that rare gallbladder disorder, so it's like I have a gallstone all the time, especially when I eat. And that one, when I got that, I started getting kidney stones a lot after I got that, and they are connected with one another. My abdomen's very upset. So imagine this, you got a gallbladder disorder, it feels like you have a gallstone. I've just gotten used to that, okay? I take colic medication, anti-colic medication. That one causes the kidney stones to form a lot more. I get a lot more of them. And when I get kidney stones, it makes my other abdominal disorder, the splenic flexure syndrome, much worse. So it's like one pushes up into my spleen region. One just makes the other worse, It's horrible, man. That's why you see me in difficulty. It's not an easy life. This is the passage I was talking about with, I know what it was, where someone agreed with me that, what did they say? I've never heard anyone say this before. They said they've been searching, and then they saw my video and they saw this. That Joel 2 represents, it like almost cross-references with the locusts, right? And Revelation. Just the explanation of them. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to tell you the very part in, so this is the day of the Lord, in Joel 2. I'm going to tell you the very spot that I want you to remember in your mind, and then I'm going to play a video right at the end. And to what I was saying at the very beginning of my video, are we in tribulation? If you were put back to 2017 and didn't know anything of what happened from the virus and after, you would say this is tribulation. I know you would. So this passage isn't the only one that talks about what, at the very beginning of this passage, a day of darkness and gloominess. So I think there's 4 spots in the Bible, and this is one of them. And they match up. Isaiah. Blow the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like the morning clouds, Revelation is the other spot, right? That's the 6th seal, or an earthquake, and then everything with that. A day of clouds and thick darkness, like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. A people come, great and strong, the like of whom has never been seen. Who is this, is the question, and I'm going to play a video at the end. Nor will there ever be any such after them, even for many successive generations. What do they mean, successive generations? Does that mean that there will be another one? It sure sounds that way. Nor will there ever be any such after them. Even for many, why bother putting this part? So I probably think there's not going to be anything like it after. I don't know why that part's there. I question that. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. This may not be real fire, right? This is just, the land is like the Garden of Eden before them. So think of it. In front of them is this big, lush land, right? Just picture that. And behind them, a desolate wilderness. Why would it be a desolate wilderness? Either it would be a war of some type, it has to be a people, or it's something else. Surely nothing shall escape them. Their appearance, so here's Revelation, right? Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, like the appearance of horses. In my video and what I'm going to show, they do look like horses. And like swift steeds, so they run, with a noise like chariots. This is what I want you to keep in mind about the video. Very important. Noise like chariots. Over mountaintops they leap. Men don't leap over mountaintops. And there's not going to be demons, okay? I just don't believe there's going to be demons. When we think, all these wicked things are going to come on the earth, all these demonic things, I think the demonic part is happening in a spiritual realm. It's within us. There's a spiritual world that we can't see, okay? End times, will there be something else? Well, like the noise of a flaming fire that devours the stubble. Like a strong people set in battle array. Like, before them, people writhe in pain. All faces are drained of color. They run like mighty men. It doesn't mean they're men. They climb the walls like men of war. Everyone marches in formation, and they do not break ranks. They don't push one another. This doesn't even sound like a human being. Everyone marches in his column. Though they lunge between the weapons, they are not cut down because there's so many of them. You have to read the previous chapter. It's about locusts, the chewing locust, the crawling locust, the devouring locust. Got to remember that. These are locusts, guys. They run to and fro in the city. Who runs on the wall? A locust does. They climb into the homes. They enter in at the windows like a thief. They can't cut them down. They can't get rid of them because there's so many of them. So we know by reading this that not everything in this is literal. So don't take everything literal like they climb the walls. Only an insect can do that. The earth quakes before them. Do you think it's really going to shake? It could, but it may not. The heavens tremble. Why would the heavens tremble? Because of what's happening. Because it affects the spiritual world too. But, well, the sun and moon grow dark, and the stars diminish their brightness. The Lord gives voice before his army. Whatever this is his army. Remember, everything on earth is his, but he's directing this. For his camp is very great. For strong is the one who executes his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can endure it? Doesn't that sound like Revelation? Who can stand? Believers can. Now therefore, says the Lord, turn to me with all your heart, with fasting, weeping, and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. You heard Paul say that. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and great kindness. He relents from doing harm. Who knows if he'll turn and relent and leave a blessing behind him, a grain offering and a drink offering for the Lord your God? Blow the trumpet in Zion, consecrate a fast, call a sacred assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and nursing babies. Let the bridegroom go out of his chamber and the bride from her dressing room. Let the priests minister to the Lord weep between the porch and the altar. Let them say, spare your people, O Lord, and don't give your heritage to reproach, that the nations should rule over them. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their God? It almost sounds like Moses, right? Then the Lord will be zealous for his land and pity his people. You say he's not going to look on the Jews, right? People who believe that. The Lord will answer and say to his people, behold, I will send you grain and new wine and oil, and you'll be satisfied by them. I'll no longer make you reproach among the nations, but I will remove far away from you the northern army, and I will drive him away into a barren and desolate land, with his face towards the eastern sea and his back towards the western sea. His stench will come up. That sounds like it could be a whole lot of insects. Could be. And his foul odor will rise, because he has done monstrous things. If you don't believe me, do some searching for it. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord has done marvelous things. Don't be afraid, you beasts of the field, for the open pastures are springing up, and the tree bears its fruit. Look at this. Because he started to give it back. There's no more locusts around. The fig tree and the vine tree, their strength. Be glad, you children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord. For he has given you the former rain faithfully, and he will cause the rain, this is long, to come down for you. The former rain, the latter rain in the first month. Latter rain in the first month. Is that a date we're looking at? So that's, I had to look at the first month. It starts with an S in the Hebrew calendar. And that's July. The latter rain. The threshing floor shall be full of wheat, and the vats. This is what Peter thought was going to happen at Pentecost. And the vats shall overflow with new wine and oil. So I'll restore to you the years. Look, that the swarming locust is eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, the chewing locust. Do you know how bad things get if locusts eat everything? They can't get worse than that. People starve. My great army which I sent among you, you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied. And praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you. and my people shall never be put to shame. Then you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. I am the Lord your God, and there is no other. My people shall never be put to shame. And it shall come to pass afterward that I'll pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. Is that happening now? It could be, but I think it's still to come. And also on your, this is the justification that the what's it movement, like the NAR movement, but the gospel, what do they call it? The charismatic gospel, that they use this to their own means. And also on my men servants and maid servants, I'll pour out my spirit in those days. I'll show wonders in the heavens and in the earth. Okay, so obviously this hasn't happened. Look, blood and fire, pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming great awesome day of the Lord. And it shall come to pass that whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. For in Mount Zion and Jerusalem there shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said, among the remnant who the Lord calls. Let's take a quick look at what this is. Look, chewing locust. Look, it's about locusts, guys. It's not about this wicked demonic army, but it's just as bad for the people. Look at this. His teeth are like teeth of a lion, fangs of a fierce lion. They have teeth, by the way. Has laid waste my vine, ruined my fig tree, stripped it bare and thrown it away. People thought at one point that I read that it was, that might be what I agreed with the person. This was just in my journey of this. It's a locust army. Thought it was Muhammad and his armies, and after him, because before them was Eden and after them was desolate. You see what they do today. It's no different when they enter our country. Here we are, right? Look at this. I just want to say this before I play this, because as soon as it's done, I'm just gonna hit it off. You don't think we're in tribulation? In 1960, was it 62? Because Kennedy was obviously still alive. The Cuban Missile Crisis, what was that? You'd have to look it up. DEFCON what? As it had to be as high as it gets. I don't think they had nuclear submarines, and that's why they had to bring them by ship to put it in Cuba at that time. But where we're at right now, I can tell you that that is a message down there. It makes no difference. They're able to hide their submarines anywhere. Okay, it's the fact that they're, number one, they labeled, so the U.S. is called an enemy now. But man, it takes a lot. The states, with any other president, no matter how weak they were, would never allow that to happen. Never. They say they're not nuclear, but it's a nuclear submarine. Of course there's nuclear weapons in there, guys. What I'm trying to say is what's happening in the rest of the world, it's like for Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't know how it can get worse, but it always seems to get worse. And then we have these rich elites trying to push even more stuff on us when we're at our worst, just like a narcissist will do to you. So like I said like I just read there in Joel 2, remember it says they sound like chariots, and I think I've made my case that they are locusts. You tell me, does this sound like chariots? You're going to think this is insane. This is in Russia. Swarms of locusts cover the sky in Russia, and I had to look what they look like. They look like horses. They have, when they're sitting, they have the legs and everything. Remember it says like horses. And they sound like chariots. Let's listen. Put your volume up. That's incredible. I think they're catching it for food.
3000 банка.
I believe they make good food. For real. So it happens in droughts. And God causes droughts, so does man. So look at that picture.
3000 банка.
So if John was describing that, John the Apostle, he would say it looks like a horse. He'd never maybe seen one before. They have wings. And they do have teeth. Anyways, guys, take care. God bless.